Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and start, you guys. I got the hiccups, so I'm like, please, hiccups, please go away. How are you doing tonight? It's Dr. Shawne. Let's see how it does with the hiccups. See, I'm so sorry. Actually, I am getting some joy from it. I hope I'm on the end of it. Hi. So tonight, lectures. I do lectures every Monday night around some kind of topic, whether it's forgiving yourself for having the hiccups, or like next week we're going to take on dealing with people that suck the life out of you. Tonight it's going to be about dealing with making peace with your past. I see you guys are showing up. Hey Terry, hi, just so you know, I'm aware I got the hiccups. I'm hoping they will subside. I might have to sit here for a minute while these hiccups are going on. What's the deal with, usually it's water. You know what, I'm just gonna leave this running. I'm gonna go get some water. I've never had this happen before. Let me go get some water, I'll be right back. Okay. I'm going live right now. All right, for those just joining, I got the hiccups, so that's what's going on. I see you guys are showing up. Hello, everybody. Tonight's topic is around making peace with the past, and a couple of things, a couple of commercials before I get going. Let's see how the hiccups are doing now. I see you guys are showing up. Hey, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm Dr. Shawne. I show up every Monday night with some kind of topic around or lecture around communication. My expertise is communication. Ways to communicate that bring us closer together. And of course, the big focus is always on the topic of forgiveness. Pardon me with the hiccups. And so tonight's about making peace with your past. And before, I got a few commercials to do as we get going. Here's what I want to tell you though, that no matter what your background is, you guys know this, there's always going to be stuff to face or deal with. I don't know if you're ever done. I don't know if your goose is ever cooked. I don't know. I'm 56. I feel like I've done a lot of work, and I feel like I got a long way to go, that I have a journey to complete through the rest of my life. And sometimes we think making peace with our past is going to be like an epiphany. We're going to have this big breakthrough and then everything falls into place. Sometimes like the movies. I wish that were the case. Sometimes some real cool ahas can happen, and usually it's much more boring than that. It's methodical, it's a process. Little things will happen, you'll get an aha. It's really cool when you get some big ahas, and I think some of you may get some big ahas by a couple of the activities that we're going to do tonight about completing your past. I see you guys are showing up. I'll be there 1 second, see what you're saying. A couple of things. I want to give a shout out to one of our partners and supporters, Randy Gage at Prosperity Nation. I love Randy Gage. Randy Gage is one of my coaches, and I have learned so much about my own worthiness or lack of it from him. And he sent me an email today of a little thing that he did with a friend of his, Chad, and one of the topics that came up was about self-forgiveness. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. I'll make sure I put that YouTube link up so you can check that out. I love Randy. Randy always makes me think, always makes me look at things a little bit differently. And actually, that's what Project Forgive really is about making the unconscious conscious, making the unconscious conscious. So tonight's lecture on making peace with your past is about taking anything that is invisible and making it visible. Anything that's unconscious and making it conscious. A couple things. You're inspired by our masks. Of course, we have a holiday sale. We've got 5 masks for $29.97, free shipping in the US. We have white, we have black, and I'll be sure to put a link up. If you're inspired, please get a mask. Also, we do have a daily joy that goes into your emails every day, and if that inspires you to get some daily joy, we're big on joy over here. We're big on joy. We're big on faking it till you make it too, because We see joy as a habit, and we also even have a Joy as a Habit Facebook group, things to remind us to actively seek out joy. And if we were just left to our own devices, I don't know if we would actively make it a priority to find some joy, especially with everything that's going on right now, right? Everything's just like, ugh. Also, if you're part of a progressive company that brings in motivational speakers on tough conversations like high pressure, diversity and inclusion and equity, and of course forgiveness in the workplace, which is our specialty, we have a way to connect with us and have you connect us with your leadership teams or whatever. Everything we're doing now is virtual, and it's the results being produced are very similar to what we did with our live event, so that's pretty exciting. Okay, now tonight, making peace with your past. Making peace with your past. You guys are really cute. You're saying some nice things. Let me start off with a story. And many times our past has some real validity to it. Some of the things we don't remember and we put things in place. This is in no way to invalidate your experience of your past at all. Like for those that hang out with me know that I'm an incest survivor. Oh my gosh. I come from a lot of cruelty. I come from strong alcoholism on both sides of my family, highly dysfunctional family systems, and I even took parenting classes to learn how to be a parent because I was never taught. And I don't say that with malice or even bitterness. I like how it's ended up, quite frankly. I like how it's ended up, which is kind of cool. Not that I would ever wish molestation or incest on anybody. I mean, who would, right? It's more about the person that I've become as I've moved through my tragedies, moved through my stories, embraced them in really powerful ways. So let me give you an example of what I'm meaning, okay? So let's say here you are, you see someone on the street, and of course you got masks on because we're big into science and the importance of wearing masks. And this person is sitting on the curb and they're crying. And you're like, oh, what's wrong? And the person starts to share, oh, it's terrible. The tornado came, it busted out all the windows, the storm was horrific, 5 people died, and the house was knocked flat. We lost all of our money, and I had to have back surgery, and it was this horrible, horrible experience. And you're like, oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry that happened. And then you find out, as the person sharing this story, that it happened 35 years ago. Okay, it kind of changes the context of the story, right? Caught up in the moment, the story's happening right now, or it just happened. You know, my mother just passed in January. I'm still in a very major place with my mother passing. I'm in some major grief, working through some major grief. I hope I'm not in this major grief 30 years from now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope that I come to some kind of peace. And when I do actively seek out tools and actively grieve and actively do my work so I can move through this emotional process, the goal is to be better at the end of the day. Now, does that not mean I don't miss my mother 30 years from now? Not at all. It's just more about, if I were to talk about alcoholism as an 8-year-old, I wouldn't expect to have the same emotions that I had when I was 8 as I'm sharing the story with you. So there's something significant about this, because many times we have our stories, not invalidating them, please hear, no invalidation. We have our stories that we keep alive as if they happened yesterday. Many times, I'll say it again, we keep our stories alive as if they happened yesterday. So what are some things you can do so it doesn't feel like your tragedy from 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 10 years ago, so it doesn't feel like it's raw and fresh and it just happened yesterday? Now, I'm not saying that as a blanket statement, because here's the thing. Somebody maybe had a child murdered 5 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't know if that ever goes away. So this is not a blanket statement. This is more about you getting some freedom from your past and to take what you like and leave the rest. Take what you like and leave the rest. This story in particular of someone sitting on a curb sharing what happened to them and then discovering it was 20 years ago or 25 years ago or 30 years ago, that was a big aha for me, because I was like, holy crap. Yeah, sometimes I act like or act as if these things just happened yesterday, and they didn't. And I've got a lot of healing under my belt. I've got a lot of understanding under my belt. Is this making sense? Let me know if this is making sense. Liz, I see you saying very true. So making peace with your past is not a one-hit wonder. You do one thing and everything's great. It doesn't quite work that way. I wish it did. It would be kind of cool. I am going to give you one tool, though, that I think is really, really cool about making peace with your past. And I'm going to specifically focus on it, but let's see what you guys are saying. Hang on, before I do this, let's see what you guys are saying. Are you with me? Getting a lot of very truths. Hi, Maria. Hi, Grace. Yep, I see you. See, guys, I'm just looking to see if anything's being said that I need to say out loud. I see a lot of you are watching. Hi, Wendy. Oh, you got it, Angie. Well, you know what? I'm going to give one away today, so maybe you'll get lucky today, okay? Because I am going to give away a couple of things after the lecture. I give away a lot of stuff on Project Forgive just because it's one of my love languages for joy, to give things away. Let's see. Anybody saying anything about this conversation about making peace with your past? Let's see, I see you guys. Oh, good, Sandra. I appreciate that. Yep, how close to tears when you're triggered, totally get it. I'm going to cover that too. You know, let's do this. How about let's do this first, because you're reminding me of this. Same thing with you, Marge. Yep, totally get it. Divorce after affairs. Oh, so get it. Yeah, same thing. I got it, Doris Faye. So get it. So I'm thinking how I want to say this. How I want to say this is new perceptions around your past is what actually alters you. New perceptions. A 4-year-old saw things a certain way. An 8-year-old girl, I mean, I'm going to be very frank, my stepdad molested me as a child, and one of the things I had to navigate as an 8-year-old is him being sexually inappropriate with masturbation. Forgive, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that graphic. When I'd walk through the house when I came home from school. So I had to figure out, I say this very medicinally as a doctor, I had to figure out as a small child how I was going to navigate that. No 8-year-old should ever have to deal with it. Are you with me? And I know so many of you have versions of this. It might not be the exact same story. You have different things you dealt with. That was just one thing that I dealt with. I relate to that very differently now as a 56-year-old grandmother versus being a scared, frightened, unprotected 8-year-old. You following me? I have many more skills now as a 56-year-old grandma than I did as an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old isn't going to say, you stop doing that. A 56-year-old would say, what are you doing? So we have different skills at different ages, right? One of the ways that helps you move through some of the stuff that happened to you in the past is to be willing to look at it differently. And this is a big stretch, so I'm going to give you a big stretch tonight. I did this with my dad. My dad abandoned my family when I was an infant. I met him, he abandoned me when I was 9 months old. I met him once when I was 13, and then I met him again in my 20s, and then had a trepidatious, or I wouldn't call it tumultuous, just very careful relationship with him. He's a former heroin addict. You know, you get it, okay? So just had a lot of strong boundaries as I was in my 20s and 30s. And I had a perception of my dad. Loser, no child support, didn't take care of his family, no connection, like zero connection. Like, how can you just abandon your daughters, me and my sister? So I had all these different ways that I saw him. One of the tools that I love to use is, how would other people see your person? So whoever your person is, usually that person will come to mind. Is it your dad? Is it your mom? I love doing mom and dad because mom and dad deeply impact all of our relationships, whether you agree or not. They really do. You get complete with mom and dad, you're going to have a very good life, whatever that looks like. Doesn't mean you have to be in connection with them. It could be in their past. It doesn't matter. It's about grieving those losses and moving through it. And so here is an activity for my dad that I used to do years ago in my 20s. I would pretend in my mind's eye that there were 30 people standing in front of me, and all of them had a relationship with my father, different than me. So maybe up there was a neighbor, maybe there was a high school friend, maybe it was his second wife, maybe it was my mother up there, maybe it was a teacher for algebra, maybe it was his friend in art class, maybe it was the grocer, maybe it was the mailman. So, I just think in my mind's eye, there's these 30 people standing there, and they're all going to tell me something about my dad that I don't know. Now, this is really powerful, because when our brain looks at stuff like this, even if it's not true, it actually alters how we feel. And it expands our consciousness. It expands our neurological pathways to start looking at things a little bit differently. I'll come in a second and see what you guys are saying, because this is a high-level skill to me to be able to do this. So here I am. I'm looking at these 30 people in front of me, and all of them are going to tell me something about my dad. So maybe my uncle, his brother, says he's the best brother anyone could ever have. He's fished me out of so many problems I can't even tell you. My mother, his ex-wife, he is a jerk, okay? Maybe his teacher, his algebra teacher, wow, he was so quiet and so conscientious in class. I loved having him in my class. Post office, oh, he's funny. Maybe it's the postman, the mail deliverer. He is so funny. He tells me a joke every time I see him, and I just laugh and laugh and laugh. Maybe it's the dry cleaner. The dry cleaner says, wow, he's always has the correct change. He's very high integrity. I just love dealing with him and offering customer service to him. Then maybe it's an old girlfriend. Oh my gosh, your dad was the best pinochle player I've ever met. You kind of see where I'm going here? It brings out different conversations as a possibility instead of your one narrow view of your experience, because we are 20-dimensional, have many pieces to us, and when we can expand, when I can actually allow myself to look at my dad in another way, not to detract that he abandoned the family, not to take away or invalidate that he was a heroin addict, not to do any of those things, and it's merely to create something bigger than what I had before, because new perceptions alter your destiny. Making the unconscious conscious is a very cool thing. Nobody is all bad or all good. And when we're 4 or when we're 8, we kind of see things as all bad or all good. And we tend to go into these dichotomies of extremes, especially if you grew up in an alcoholic home or a dysfunctional family system. We live in extremes. So that is something, and I've been doing it recently with my mother. And before I talk about my mother, let's see what you guys are saying. Are you saying anything about this? Yeah, I'm with you, Liz. I'm listening to what you, yep. Sometimes love is blind. Oh, I love what you guys are saying. You guys are getting, yep, Sandra, it's awesome. I love that you said that it's mind-blowing exercise. It's a great exercise. I'm going to do one with my mother here next. Seems like many of us have been on this journey together. Let's see. The womanizer, I don't understand why she stayed. Yep, totally get it. I don't know if it's Gary or Tammy. Totally get that too. Just seeing what else is being said. Just looking really quick. Hey, y'all. Just checking in. Yeah. Yep. All right. Let me go all the way back down. So let me do it again. This time, let me do it. I'm going to do it in 2 different ways. I'm going to do it with my mother. You know, my mother's biggest fear is that I would talk bad about her. That was my mother's biggest fear. My mother comes from a lineage and a heritage of extreme narcissism. Extreme. My mother was, let me just tell you what 30 people in a line would say about my mother. Whew. Yeah, the emotions come up with this, with her recently passing too. Someone would say, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen walk into a room. She was movie star gorgeous, my mother. Movie star gorgeous. She was stunningly beautiful. She had the best laugh. When she'd laugh, everyone would laugh around her because it was just that really infectious laugh. Another person might say she'd get angry on a dime. You could be having a great conversation with her, and all of a sudden she'd get mad at you and you had no idea what happened. She loved to ski, and she always made skiing a really fun thing. Same thing with golf. That's what her golfing and skiing buddies would say. A girlfriend that going to high school with, her name's Cookie, she would say, your mother is so fun. She was just one of the kindest, most loving, funnest people I've ever met. You're getting the idea here, right? Now, as a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old, those aren't things I would say. I would say some things like, yes, my mother was beautiful. I would say other things like, I wish my mother loved me. My mother really struggles loving me. My mother struggles just with basic kindness towards me, with me. And it would be really hard to talk about because when my friends would come over, people would come over, my mother was exquisite. Everybody loved my mother. So to even talk bad about her just did not kerplunk. Which made it even more insidious for me, created more pain here because it was intangible, right? So this exercise of hearing 30 people talk about my mother, hearing 30 people talk about my father, hearing 30 people talk about my grown child. I get a lot of comments like this from many of you that you're not on speaking terms with your grown children and you can't see your grandchildren. And try that exercise with your grown children too, that they're so committed to causing something new that's how their friend would see them, that they want to do some new dynamics in the family system. It's hard to grasp. It's hard to grasp. Highly recommend this exercise. What are you guys saying about this exercise? I've got a couple more ideas too. Let's see. Yeah, I'm with you, Lori. Hi, Barb. I'm glad you're here. I'm Amaryllis. Rochelle's in the house. I'm so glad, Ruth. I see your name and I just feel happy. Ruth, just so you know, Ruth is like so many ways, we get surrogate mothers or people in our lives. She's not that much older than I, and she is like a surrogate mama to me. I've gotten some amazing people to come in my life. I know when many of us didn't get what we needed, we do attract some amazing things in our life. All right, so here's something else I want to bring up. I'm glad this is useful, Ryan, because it helps us grow up. Doesn't detract from the pain. Oh my gosh, the last thing I'd want to do is invalidate your pain. That's the last thing. And it helps you come from that place of sitting on the curb of something that happened 30 years ago. Okay. Other thing, movies with movement. Now, I kind of see triggers very differently. I haven't really talked about triggers here on Facebook. Those that are incest survivors or come from alcoholic families, we know what triggers are really well. And maybe sometime I'll do let me write that down. We'll do a lecture just on triggers, navigating triggers. I'm gonna write that down. So I'm at this stage where certain things still do trigger me, but not as much and not as severely, and doesn't completely take me out. Movies are one of them. I actively seek out movies before I watch them to see how I'm gonna feel watching a movie. And I was watching on Facebook. Oops, that's the dog. I was on Facebook, and a girlfriend of mine, Jocelyn, she wrote about Hillbilly Elegy. Have you heard about Hillbilly Elegy? And I had to look up how to pronounce elegy because it's one of those words that I see all the time. I read a lot, and to actually verbalize elegy or elegy, E-L-E-G-Y, elegy, Hillbilly Elegy. Glenn Close is in it. Amy Adams. I can't remember the young actor's name in it, the young boy, and it's a true story. The movie was really good. There's good parts to it. I just want to share this if you have Netflix to be able to see this movie. My husband and I both watched it last night, and we both held our breath through most of the movie. It wasn't exactly relatable to me. It was the feelings that were relatable. The holding my breath, the having to take care of the adults, the despair, the trapped feeling of no adults. I look for movies like that because they help me move through stuff, and especially if you have a partner or someone in your life that you can talk about it with, or a therapist, or 12-step programs, or however you manage some of that. That's really, really helpful. So, and here's my thing. Somebody can tell you to go watch a movie, and you watch it and you hate it. You go, this does not help me whatsoever. So take that with a grain of salt, okay? And you always have permission when you start watching something to say, this ain't for me, and you turn it off. It ain't that deep, okay? For whatever reason, Hillbilly Elegy impacted me. I have a couple more that really impact me, especially when I'm struggling. I come on every day with the conversation of joy, finding joy every day in life. And I'm sharing this as a way to, so I'm putting a voice to some of the things that you guys are feeling. That's why I'm sharing it in this way. This is not how I would normally share when I speak or train. It's just what feels right to do on Facebook, okay? And so certain movies I seek out when I'm really struggling, and I've been struggling in joy this past week. With the holidays, my mom passing, first time, first time I'm just really trying to, you can tell I'm distracted. I've been having a hard time with this holiday with my mom. And so one of the shows that I watch repetitively that inspires me is Rocketman, okay? It's the Elton John movie. I love Elton John. I love Elton John. And the reason I love this Rocketman movie is it's his journey. To me, I mean, so many people watch it and you'll get different things out of it. To me, it's a total movie on forgiveness. When I frame a lot of things looking at it in context of forgiveness, to me, this was a total movie on forgiveness. And his songs throughout the whole movie, his family members are singing his songs to him. He, as a child, as a 5-year-old, is singing his songs to himself and to others, and it's just beautiful. I just love the movie. And there's a scene where he's at the Troubadour. He's coming to the U.S. and speaking and gonna sing at the Troubadour. It's like when he was just on the precipice of huge success and being, the Rocketman in the U.S. coming from the U.K. And there's a scene in there that I just keep playing over and over. And it's when he's playing Crocodile Rock, and he starts out, it's a small group, but it's like the fringe group that if people like you there, they good gossip about you, and they can make you famous at this club, okay? And so he starts playing really slow with the piano. If you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he's singing, I remember when rock was young, and he's going really slow. Me and Susie had so much fun. And then he starts to speed up. I can't remember all the words, so forgive me. Singing is not my thing, but I'll sing it with him. Skimming stones, and the biggest thing I ever got was doing the Crocodile Rock. Then he starts going really, really fast, and the crowd just starts going nuts. And then he gets to the part of the song where he sings the la 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 la's. Do you know this? Many of you are my age that hang out here, so you know the song. And he starts singing la 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 la. You're singing it with me in your head. La 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 la. Well, when he starts singing that la la la, he's on the piano and his legs go up in the air. It moves me. His legs go up in the air. It goes in slow motion, and he's like flying. And there's just something about this scene that's very spiritual for me, because we all have different things spiritually that connect us. And I just know that everything's going to be okay, because la 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 is playing. I don't know how else to articulate that, and that's that scene in that movie that I just absolutely love. And I just love, and there's something that happens between, his name is Reggie, between Reggie and his little self. There's something that happens with embracing himself as a little boy, and it's just really beautiful. And if that's something that lights you up, you would love that movie. And I watch it all the time. I don't even necessarily watch it. I just listen to it when I'm working or whatever. And another one, too, is the Freddie Mercury movie. I love that movie, too. First of all, I love the music. And there's something very authentic about Freddie Mercury that I just love. And I love that kind of authenticity. 2 more Disney movies. Moana. If you've never watched Moana, if you have grandkids or kids or whatever, watch that movie. Watch the whole thing. The ending is spectacular. To me, that is also a movie on forgiveness and embracing mothers and embracing her own heritage as a female. And there's just this last scene, even if you go look it up on YouTube, Kafiti, like I'm trying to remember their names. If you know the names, put them in here. Kafiti, I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably should have looked it up before it came on, but I didn't. There's just something very beautiful about Moana connecting with this evil thing at the end and how that melts and transforms. And making peace with your past, which is the topic tonight, is really about letting yourself melt, letting yourself transform, letting yourself see these people in your life as 30 different perceptions to melt you, letting yourself be inspired by someone like Elton John as he's being his self-expressed self, and having the courage to do that. I work a lot in diversity and inclusion and equity, and I work a lot in the LGBTQI community, and I also have a gay son who's married. And I think about being in the 70s and Elton John singing about women when he was a gay man, how hard that must have been, and the courage that it took to do that. And it just inspires me. The authenticity of him inspires me, especially the movie that he's doing now. Another movie too that's really helpful, making peace with the past, and it's chipping away at it. There's not this big aha and you're solved, your past is done. There's no big aha, as I alluded to in the beginning, although you have moments of big ahas. And Frozen 2, I just recently saw the whole thing with my granddaughter, and it's about doing the next right step, or in there it's the next right thing. And that's how I've been approaching COVID. What is the next right step? What is the next right thing? What are you thinking about the things I'm saying tonight? I see you guys. Oh, I love Trolls too, Sophia. I know that one by heart. Love it. Kafiti, Sandra, yes. Kafiti, I love Moana, yes. Tafiki, Kafiti. There's Tafiki. It might be Kafiti, Tafiki, something like that. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Hi, Paul. Hi, you guys. I see you. Sometimes you're just watching and not really saying anything, and that's fine. You're stuck in holiday without them, Nadine. I'm so sorry. I so get it. Yeah. This year feels harder for me, too, because I lost my dad and my sister in a relatively short time just before my mom passed in January. And, yeah, Laura, you're so spot on. So spot on. Because here's what I want to say about my mom. I'm amazed that I miss her. Because I came from a pretty rough background. I really did. I came from a lot of abuse. And I know many of you have. And I miss her. The forgiveness work that I did has me miss her. And that moves me. I never thought in a million years that I would miss my mother. And this last year of her life was one of the best years of my life. And forgiveness really is about intimacy. Like, how close are you willing to be? How vulnerable are you willing to be? How open-hearted are you willing to be? And the answer can be no sometimes. You know, you might be at a place where you're like, nope, screw that. They're a jerk. I need to be mad for a while. Totally get that. I did that. I understand that. I did that in many different phases of my 56 years. And I even had a time in my 20s that I didn't talk to my mother for 4 years. And that's when I was going to, Survivors of Incest Anonymous and doing 12-step programs and going to counseling and, blah, blah, blah. So our journeys are so unique. And, yeah, I think that's all there is to say about this tonight. I do want to say, with talking about Rocketman, my favorite line in Crocodile Rock is, "You have the sweetest eyes I've ever seen." Actually reminds me of my husband. And those when I'm doing some grieving and dealing with past stuff. Those things inspire me. Yeah, I think that's all there is to say. Thank you for being here tonight. Next week is going to be about dealing with people that suck the life out of you. I love that conversation. There's so many things you can do. Like, we think people are really sucking the life out of us, but they're not. We're letting them. We've trained them that it's okay. And we have no boundaries, so we let people suck the life out of us. And when we start, getting some balls or some boundaries and actually setting some boundaries, really cool things start to happen. And it's kind of cool. And that's one of the biggest blessings of my mother, having a difficult mother, is not a whole lot shakes me anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, not a whole lot will shake me, because I've had a really difficult mother, a loving mother, a crazy fun mother, a hysterical mother, a beautiful mother, a mean mother, a funny mother, a kind mother, a compassionate mother, a religious mother, a spiritual mother, a mean mother, all. Yeah. Yeah, you're so welcome. I love this talk tonight. This one probably helped me more than it helped you. So, Randy Gage, thank you for all you do, our partner and supporter of Project Forgive. You all, I'll see you daily for moments of joy. And what a joy to be with you. And you're inspiring and cheering you on to make some peace with your past. See you soon. Bye-bye. Big love. Bye, guys. You're welcome, Sandra. You're welcome, Lori. Thank you for the stars, Lori. Don't know what they mean yet, but we'll figure it out, okay? Whoops, I'm hitting something here. Sorry. Okay. Bye. You're welcome. Bye, Christine. Oh, Sherry, I love that you said that. Bethany, run a marathon. That's another one I want to look at. I saw it on Prime. It's a great way to end. Okay. Bye, y'all. Love you.